Networking and marketing made simple is for you, the business owner who has a product, a service, or a message that you believe in. My name is Scott Aaron, and each week we'll take a behind-the-scenes look into the real-world marketing and networking tactics and strategies for getting what you have in front of you to a lot more people. Thanks for spending time with me, and now let's get started. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple. Super excited for today's interview episode. I connected with this individual, as I mentioned in prior episodes, on an amazing platform called Matchmaker.fm. It basically connects podcasters to guests and other podcasters so they can collaborate and obviously inspire each other's networks. I had the honor of doing a training and getting interviewed in this person's group. And obviously it's only polite and right to invite them back to return the favor. So I have Natalie Gensits with us here today. She is a copywriting coach and wellness content writer. And there were two things that really stood out about Natalie and why I wanted her on this show is one, people really struggle with content writing. It's a thorn in their side. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to say it. They don't know when to say it. They don't know where to put it out, but also having a wellness background. And obviously you guys know, you've been following this podcast long enough and me long enough where, I had a nearly 20-year run in the wellness industry. So everything that she's doing really spoke to me. So with all that being said, Natalie, welcome to today's episode. Thanks,
Scott. I really appreciate you having me here, and I look forward to sharing with your audience.
Absolutely. So before we dive into all the things that you're currently doing now and how other people can better themselves in their business, let's talk about the journey of where it basically led to what you're doing now. And what do you feel within that journey was that catalytic moment for you that said, you know what, I want to really do some copywriting coaching, and I want to really focus on the wellness content writing side of things. So, what was that catalytic moment for you that has kind of set you on this path?
Well, the catalytic moment I would say is my own health and wellness journey. It wasn't like an instantaneous moment, but it's been a long journey still going on. So I started at one point gathering a lot of information, and I guess there was a dinner one night where I was like, oh, maybe I should write a book about healthier eating because I've learned so much. And I guess that would be the catalytic moment that got me even thinking about wellness and putting the writing in combination with that. From there, it kind of evolved into what I do now, because that was more, speaking to people about eating healthier. But I would say that would be the key moment.
Awesome. And sometimes you have to go through that journey yourself to realize that's a passion of yours to want to help other people do the same thing. Now,
right.
What was it about copywriting and that aspect of business that really drew you into that side of being visible on social media that had you saying, you know what, there's enough interest out there. There's enough people that are struggling with this where I can help them the way that I've helped myself?
Yeah. I would say, my whole career has been spent in advertising and marketing. So I've always had a heart for writing. There was another big moment where I was laid off when we had a company, my agency lost a big account and several people were let go. And it was in the state of where I was blessed by that, because it wasn't a great, anyway, I don't want to go into that, but it allowed me the freedom then to start really focusing on my writing and versus the other parts of marketing that I was dealing with. So that was the moment that allowed me to start refocusing on writing, why I'm applying it to the way that I am now to help other coaches. I've had to go through trial and error myself, and I realized I can write great copy, but it's not going to work if I don't have a good heartbeat on my ideal client. And that was really what's triggered me to work with newer coaches specifically, because they don't understand the importance of that. And I'm not judging, because I didn't either. It's like you just said, you have to go through it sometimes before you get it.
So one of the biggest struggles that newer coaches have, whether they're in wellness or not, is when they're starting a new business. The scary part about starting that new business is making investments in yourself and in your business to make money. I was talking to someone earlier today, actually, that was interested in my services and in utilizing LinkedIn to start generating more clients. But they're in that fear state of they just started, they need money coming in, but yet they could invest in something that could generate that revenue they're looking for, just like with you. Now, with that being said, what do you think that fear is, and how important is it for that newer coach to make the right investments when they're just starting out?
Well, I think a lot of them realize they need to make the investment. I think the fear or uncertainty lays in what is that right decision. I think maybe instead of, maybe there's too much emphasis on it being the right decision. Once one of my favorite naturopathic doctors told me, sometimes you just need to make a step. And if it's the wrong one, you'll figure it out. But you've still made more progress than you would have had you not taken any step.
Yeah, it's really important to, it's not about how far forward you step. It's just the fact that you're moving forward each and every day. Now, when it comes to copywriting, what do you think are the hangups or the struggles that most, whether someone's a newer coach or not, what do you think is that the struggle behind copywriting that really paralyzes those specific people?
I think the biggest struggle, I'm going to go back to this, is not having your ideal client in mind, because that just, so many people are trying to talk to a bunch of people and a range of people. They want to help everybody. But when you can serve whoever hears your message and comes and asks you for help, but as far as your marketing and who you're trying to send a message to, you really need to have one person in mind. Otherwise, your mind is whirling with all of these thoughts to try to spew out in a polished way. And there's just no good way to do that if you don't have that one person in mind.
Yeah, getting clear, and this is something my wife and I, always talk about and teach, is getting clear on your audience. You're not looking to market to the masses. You're looking to market to your specific niche of those that you can really serve. And that's a great point. When you understand who your ideal client is, it really helps you understand, okay, now I know the specific person that I'm looking to market to. Now all I have to do is drum up some content that speaks directly to that ideal client, where they're going to want to engage and hopefully reach out to me and see how I can serve them.
Exactly.
So in the beginning stages of this, Natalie, what are some easy tips that you can give for the audience when it comes to copywriting properly for one's ideal client? What are some simple things they can do to get themselves started?
Well, do you mean around getting to know your audience, or actually writing once you know your ideal client?
Once you know that ideal client,
okay.
How can you speak directly to them where that person's like, wow, Natalie is talking right to me right now?
Right. So one thing I've learned, not that long ago, this was just like a real momentum changer for me, is to think about where the person is now that you're speaking to and where he or she wants to be in the future. And so, and then what is she doing, wanting, and feeling right now versus in the future? Because if you can speak to those points, I'm going to help you do, want, and feel this in the future. Then that is going beyond the solution and taking that person into the success of your solution. And that generates the emotions that will make them more likely to engage and react and take an action versus just be passively watching or listening to your stuff. So that's one tip. Another just writing tip in general, one of my favorite ones, the best one that I can offer is to use you language, YOU, talk in what you're going to get from working with me, not what all I've done and how I am awesome and can help you. Sure, I am, but I'm not going to talk about that, right? It's like, I might frame it in the way of, I've had a wellness journey, I've got marketing experience, but then flip it. This is what you're going to get from working with me because of that, and just even I've seen long stories about, so there's some people that are too afraid to talk about themselves and share their story. And then there's others that are just telling it on and on and on. And I want to encourage that that's a great thing to do, but it may not be on your homepage. It shouldn't be on your homepage of your website. That could be a blog post or something else. So anyway, that was a tangent on the you language, but that's what I like to refer to it as getting your audience into the game rather than watching from the sideline. So when you use you language, you talk about benefits instead of features. Instead of thinking I'm watching other people do it, I feel like I'm doing it with you. And that is a huge difference maker when it comes to your copy and your messaging.
I love that analogy. And I talk about that often, that, you don't want people that are just spectators of the game. You want people that are on the field running with you. And
exactly,
just as you said, there's a big difference between the benefits and the features. When you can share with someone what is possible or what could happen by doing X, Y, and Z, now they're thinking that could be me. So just to kind of give you an example, my wife and I just wrapped up a launch for our posting platform. And what a lot of people don't know is people spend an average of around 3 to 5 hours a week, almost an hour a day on social media, creating content, posting content, and then posting it on all specific platforms, where we tell people, imagine for a second sitting down at your computer on a Sunday night for 60 minutes and pre-scheduling all your content for the entire week. How would it feel to get 4 to 5 hours back of your life each week that you can spend doing something else? Now, again, it's not specifically mentioning, all the bells and whistles and the features. It's the benefits. It's the benefit of utilizing X, Y, and Z to experience X, Y, and Z. So for you, how important is it for that newer coach or that seasoned coach to really differentiate between benefits of what they do and features of what they have?
Well, I think it's critical because, again, otherwise you're letting your people sit on the sideline instead of reeling them into the game. Features, I think, need to be spoken or written somewhere, but it shouldn't be the forefront. The forerunner should be the benefits. So you could be talking about, you're going to have this, the feature is the accountability call or the 27 access or the weekly coaching call or whatever. But what do you get from that? You're going to get on, hand holding. You're going to have steadfast accountability that keeps you on track from falling off the goal. You want to speak to the points that basically it helps you speak to the pain points, which is critical. So yeah, I think it's very important to differentiate using the benefits.
So what's your best advice for that person listening to this that is really struggling to create content from that you perspective, and they're finding kind of a misbalance where they're sometimes not talking about the other person enough and they're talking too much about them? What's your best piece of advice for that coach and how they can find a more strategic balance with that you mentality in mind?
I would say definitely revisit your ideal client, and you may need to go deeper with it. Because at first, I was in the wellness industry in general, and then I went down to health coaches, and it was scary because you're like, am I limiting myself? But then when I did that, I realized it's the newer coaches that were being drawn to me. So one, that's who I was attracting to. There's a huge need there. So, you know, when you think you're dialed in, you may not be dialed in enough, and it feels scary, but I would say to still revisit that and go back to thinking about what are they wanting, feeling, doing, and just, if you don't have that solid information, then start asking questions and getting those answers from people. Use the exact words that they're saying, because that's when you use that in your content, flip it around and use it, they're going to see it, hear it, because it's, their language.
Questions always lead to answers. And something that I believe in is we all have two ears and one mouth for a reason. So the more that you listen and the less that you talk, the more connectable you could be to your ideal client. Now, talk a little bit about what you do and how you help people, because when people hear you're a copywriting coach and you're a wellness content writer, talk a little bit about what kind of drew you to what you do now coaching wise, and explain to the audience a little bit about how it works.
Okay, sure. What drew me to it first is just the idea that these coaches need the help, because I started off more with the content writing, and then seeing how a lot of coaches want to do their own writing, but they need some help, or they might think they're great at writing when honestly not so much. They need a better approach. And so that stuck out to me, like there's a need there as well. So not only do I write for people that don't want anything to do with their copy, they're just like, no, it's not my thing, here, please do it for me. Or I can help coach you to write if you are just tied to it, or you like to write, but you need some help with this more sales end of it. But the approach I use is meant, but when you dig into your ideal client and your elevator pitch is dialed in, you're not having to be so salesy. That's the beauty of it. It's just genuine, like a conversation we're having right now would just morph into a potential sale, right? It's just that natural. So either way, there's always a strategy call set up that I do forms to get your voice if I'm writing for you. I have packages that are, available, or if it's I tailor a lot of things because everybody has such individual needs, right? So I might customize a package based on what you need. And that goes for coaching as well. I have a small group program I'm doing right now. That's a 12-week program, but I also will say, well, here, it looks like we could use 4 weeks to do these topics that you're interested in. So let's do that. So those are the two ways that I help people.
I love that. And obviously all that information and more is going to be found in the description of this episode. Natalie, thank you so much for coming on the show today. But before we sign off, I always love ending with this specific question. And it always provides a different answer each time. So Natalie, what does success truly mean to you?
Well, to me, success means fulfilling your God-given purpose, really doing the thing that you were meant to do.
And again, it's following that journey. And as you mentioned, that journey changes over time. What we're doing right now may be different from what we're going to be doing in 3 to 5 years, but you have to honor the journey. I always say to people, when we go on those roller coasters, what's the first thing that we do? We grab that safety harness, we pull it down, because there's going to be a lot of twists and turns, ups and downs. Sometimes that roller coaster goes in reverse at times. So you got to be prepared for everything.
That is correct. That's true.
So Natalie, again, thank you so much for being here today. All the information of what you do obviously will be in the description of this episode. So Natalie, tell everyone how they can find you on social and any website where they can learn more about you.
Sure. My main platform is Instagram, and that's Natalie Gensits.wellnesswriter. And my website is nataliegensits.com, where you can find, that's a better resource because you can see where I am on all the platforms and get one of several freebies there. So yeah, and you'll see how to spell my name in the show notes.
Yep. So again, all that information will be in the show notes for everyone to connect with Natalie offline. So Natalie, again, thank you so much for being here today. Everyone, thank you for checking out this episode. As always, support the show the best way you can, whether you're listening to Spotify or iTunes. Leave a rating and review. Would love to hear what you took away most from this episode. Share it out on social. I would love to hear from you. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you so much again for checking out today's episode. And if you are listening through iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are, please leave me a rating and review. Let me know what you loved, what you would like to see improved, or ideas you have for future episodes. And if you are interested in taking your business to the next level, don't hesitate to go to my website, www.scottaaron.net, where you can schedule a free discovery call with me, where I can learn more about you, your business, what you're struggling with, and how we can work together. And don't forget to check out my wife, Nancy, and mine, our free community on Facebook called LinkedIn Leads for Life. We would love to see you in there. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you, everyone, for your support. Grateful for each and every one of you.